What's up, guys, and welcome back to BitCast, episode 113 for the week of July 24th, 2023. I'm your host, Jake Martin, and on the show this week, we have Landry Smith.
It's good to be back, man. Thanks for getting this together.
Dude, thank you for getting this together. So I checked, it's March, I think 12th or 21st. It's the combination of the letter 1 and 2 was the last time we recorded an episode of BitCast, and we were talking about the Oscars.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so it's been a minute. And
Yes, it
for
has.
those who are listeners of the show, apologies for the hiatus.
Both of us lived in different homes the last time we spoke.
Yeah. If you're watching the video version, Landry and I are both in pretty swanky new setups. His more swanky than mine. You got some beautiful posters back there. You got some stuff on some shelves, some CRTs.
Yeah, man. Got a nice little setup over here. It's very humble, but I like it. Gets the job done.
Oh yeah, it gets the job done. Yeah, and mine is just carpet and walls right now, because this room will eventually actually be another baby room, and we're moving this desk over to the other guest bedroom and making that like a hybrid guest slash office. So that will be
Nice.
where the final setting is. But for right now, this just worked, and we had the guest bedroom already set up. So we're like, let's just go with this blank room for now. So
Perfect. Lots of potential. Lots of potential. I'm excited to see the finished product.
so much room for possibilities.
That's the
It'll
thing about moving. You got to get everything functional first, and then you start to like piece together things one room at a time. So
Exactly. Just like this podcast. Right? We're moving, we're reopening it back up. We've got everything situated and we're trying to figure it out. So a little bit of a inside baseball look as to how this kind of podcast started back up again, or why we're recording again, I guess makes more sense. I Hannah actually asked me the question. She's like, "Do you miss recording like episodes with your friends?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do actually." Because we used to record like all the time for the past, I don't know how many years now, since 2015. And I was like, "Yeah, I do want to record some more episodes." And then Landry, like a freaking gangster that he is, was like, "Hey, dude, I have some ideas. Like we can try this, and this." And I was like, "Those all sound great." And
Sweet. I'm glad it worked out, man. I missed it too. I met all of you guys through the internet basically, and doing this. So I'm glad we're taking another crack at it.
yeah, we'll take a crack at it. So the plan for right now is to do bi-weekly episodes just to see how things go. And we're going to be recording on Mondays. That could change, obviously, but uploading on Tuesdays. And if we need like a week space, we'll do that. But yeah, Landry might be taking over as host every now and then, and I'll just be jumping on to talk about stuff. And we'll still have the regular guests on if people want to jump on the podcast. But yeah, same kind of run of show where it's just people talking, friends talking, a little bit of news roundup for the week, and then the main topic of the show, usually centered around like modern gaming news and things that are kind of big on the radar, whether it's a new release or, in today's case, a little bit of a segue into this next thing. We'll be talking about the Xbox Activision merger that just closed. So Landry and I have some thoughts on that, and we're excited. So yeah, if you're tuning in, water
Slurp.
sip. Glad to have you here. And so let's jump into the run of show. So today we are talking about a news report that came out that said 87% of games are missing the disappearance of classic video games. A new study reveals that nearly 9 in 10 classic video games are unavailable. Oh no, not good stuff. And then Pikmin 4 recently released, and reviews are looking real nice for that. So we'll talk about that briefly. And then, as we mentioned as well, the Xbox Activision merger is our main topic of the show. So we are jumping into our news segment. But before we do that, I did want to mention, if you are still listening to us, be sure to leave us some reviews. We really appreciate that, guys. You just jump on there. You have whatever listening service you have, you just jump on, you leave a review, 5 stars, hopefully. We appreciate those, and it goes a long way. Or just write in questions. We love hearing from friends and family alike. So don't forget to do that. You can send all of your stuff to bitcast@bitblogist.com. How was that? How was that ad read? How was that
Beautiful,
housekeeping?
man. You crushed it.
A
Very
little,
efficient.
little rusty. Haven't done it in a while for the old Bitcast. All right. So Landry, you want to walk us through the news reports and just kind of we'll open up discussion here.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. Let me take this bad boy out real quick. So, There's a report from the Video Game History Foundation and the Software Preservation Foundation recently that found that nearly 9 in 10 classic video games are unavailable to the public outside of buying vintage games and consoles. So, Jake, my question to you, emulation professional that you are, is this even a problem? Is this a big deal in gaming in 2023?
It is a big deal. You and I talked about this ahead of time, and I think you had a great comparison. But I think this happened with the completionist. He had this whole episode about this, how so many games are unavailable. I forget how many consoles he was buying for. It may have
It
just
was
been for
the
the
Wii U and
3DS.
3DS pre eShop closure. He bought every single game available on
Right.
both consoles,
And
which
he
was
had
honestly less money than I anticipated it being.
Right. And I think that's why he did it. He's like, actually, it isn't as much as I thought it was going to be. But the task in finding all of those games, getting them, downloading them, and however many weird background workarounds they had to work through to get those, it was insane. Like his story was nuts. So your previous comparison was like a library, and that's what
Right.
he did with all of his stuff. He basically took his entire library he had built for that video and then just gave it to the actual Video Game History Foundation, or I forget which
Right.
organization is
I think that's it.
took all of those. And that's great, but that's one place that has access to those games. So if you wanted to go and play a random 3DS game and just kind of see what it was, that's the only way to do it, really. That is like a legal, here are the things, come play on this 3DS. So yeah, I think it's a problem because we should be able to go and play these games much like you would any other classic novel or movie. If you want to find it, it really is not that hard to do. You can go to any store, any online viewing portal and find that stuff. So yeah,
Right.
what are your
And I
thoughts?
mean, 100%, like retaining 100% of video games is unrealistic, right? Like for any medium, some of the stuff that's like super silly or just like completely terrible is going to fall out of like history's eye eventually.
Right.
Um, but I'm doing a retrospective on the NES right now, and I'm basically working with like the top 25 games of the console pretty closely. And fortunately, if you're looking for just the top 25 games, like none of them are extraordinarily expensive to go out and buy. But in one of those lists, I came up with this game. It was called Metal Storm, and it's $170 loose and like $300 in box. And they made like a limited run or one of those like limited press releases of it in like
Hmm.
2017 or 2018. And even those on eBay now are like, upwards of $150. So all this stuff that is giving these limited physical releases is great, but without like some place where people who want to explore the history, like new gamers coming into the hobby and wanting to kind of see where things came from, it can be really difficult unless you're willing to go into the emulation route, which requires a little bit of getting your hands a little dirty. And, everything's great with emulators. Like downloading emulators is really easy. Um,
Yep.
getting your separate your operating system set up is great, but once you want to go and get ROMs, it's like the internet goes completely dark. Like you have to be willing to do some shady stuff, I feel like, to get some ROMs. And that's just not cool. That's not a feasible option for people like me who just don't want to mess with that. I'd rather I mean, obviously I have all the old hardware, like it's a hobby of mine, but it's also expensive. Like I
Hmm.
don't expect, most people to be willing to go out and buy like an old NES and an old Super Nintendo and just to play the few games they want to play.
Well, yeah, and outside of the main hits like Mario, Zelda, stuff for like Nintendo, a lot of those other deep cut titles like you're talking about are just impossible to find by any other means. It almost makes you wish that like the original platform that it was built on, it's like, okay, Nintendo, they at one point had the licensing rights or IP rights to have that game on their system. It's like, why can't you just go to Nintendo and be like, hey, I want to play this really niche, weird game. You have the BIOS and like ROMs files for all of these somewhere. I was like, could I
Right.
just rent them, pay you $2?
Or like, I mean, the Video Game History Foundation's solution, as I understand it, is they want to set up like a library for these games where people could come, maybe pay a monthly fee, um,
Hmm.
and check out these games digitally around the world. And the ESA, former kind of bigwigs around the E3, but they do a lot of other stuff. They're basically arguing for these big corporations that would be that would basically like stifle their creative freedom to make money off of these games, which is like completely ludicrous because like I'm a big film fan, and like I got really big into the history of film, especially in college. And I used to go to the library at UTC in downtown, and I would check out like you know anything I could get my hands on from like classic cinema, like you know pretentious stuff like the French New Wave and the Italian New Wave cinema, but also stuff like Charlie Chaplin and
Hmm.
just stuff that you wouldn't really see on like Netflix per se. But that didn't like kill my desire to go to the movies. Like if anything, that like created a passion and a hobby to where like now I'm that guy that goes out and buys like I've got like 35 Switch games and a bunch of
Right.
PS5 stuff. Like
Hmm.
I'm your customer base, and
I'm
like
your core
giving me
demographic.
stuff to like nerd out on historically is not going to not get me to buy something else. It's just an absurd argument in my opinion.
Well, and like the other thing that I think you mentioned too is as people who are passionate about these games, sometimes you would want to create content potentially around this stuff. And without any other means to do that, it's really difficult. Like
Yeah,
you say, hey, I want to go and show people this NES game that I played as a kid, or I want to go back and play, one of these Mega Man games, which I know are available on all almost modern consoles. But for this example, it's like, oh, cool. If there was a place that I could go that I could just find some of that gameplay and just cut some of that video out of there and use it for this video that I'm making, like that's a great experience. But right now, it's like, how do I go find that stuff? How do I find all these like old retro video games and like the video around them? I have to go onto YouTube, find gameplay, rip like video footage from that gameplay, which feels
yeah.
also like I'm stealing something else. And it's just like there's no like real great way to do that either.
And it's
And
not like it's not confined to the NES like or even cartridge era video games. I mean, I was looking at my GameCube selection and
yeah,
Wii selection of games, and it's like, I mean, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, like probably never going to be played again because why would Activision want to release that or Xbox now? I mean, it's not going to make them probably a ton of money if they re-release it, and they're never going to give the rights back up to that game because it's got so much licensed music in it. They'd have to pay for all that to put it back on somewhere.
they
So
do
it's
have a lot
like
of licensed music in
there's
those
just a
games.
lot of stuff like any sports game, which I realize is probably like a lot of people aren't going to want to go back and play like Madden '08 or whatever, but like all that stuff has licensed
A
stuff,
great
and it,
year.
it is cool to see like how those games evolved and where they came from and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But like, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4 is trapped on the PS3, and that's like one of the biggest franchises in the world.
Hmm.
So,
But hey, they just released Twisted Metal on the premium tier for PS Plus. We're getting like 2, 3, and
dude,
1, 2, and 3, I think, of Twisted Metal on the premium. So hey,
that game used to like make me feel guilty because I knew my parents wouldn't want me to play it when I was over at friends' houses, but
I
I was
shouldn't be
like,
playing this.
I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna go for it, and I loved it. So much fun.
It was one of those like weird ones that had like a black cloud around it. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be playing this game.
Yeah,
It's a bad boy game. Nice.
exactly.
Well, yeah. So I don't know. That's sad to hear. I'm sure that we'll have some more complaints down the road. I feel like this gets brought up like every year at this point now. But the stat that like 9 and 10 classic games are not playable or like are unavailable. That's wild.
That's
That
absurd.
that's a new one where I'm like, that sucks. That really is not good.
Yeah.
So here's to hoping they figure that out. All right. So Peakman 4. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the old Peakmans and the little what's the dog's name now in this newest version?
Oh man, what is his
Ochi
name?
or
Ochi. Yeah, that sounds
something
right.
something like that. So yeah, the game came out just recently. I think was it Friday?
That's
This past
correct.
week,
Yeah.
yeah. And reviews are looking really good. So we had a listener write in on this one actually, and he said Harden Garden asks. Pikmin 4 consistently gets great critical reception, but hasn't gained nearly the popularity of Miyamoto's other franchises. Why do you guys think that is?
Well, that's a great question. It's something that I get really frustrated with myself because I played Pikmin 3 when it first came out on the Wii U. And actually, around that time, Nintendo made this just crazy deal that you could get. They used to do this during the Wii U era because they were like in the doldrums. Um, and you could buy Mario Kart 8. I think it was Mario Kart 8, and you'd get a game free. And I already had Wind Waker.
Mm,
So one of the other games you could get was like New Super Mario Brothers U and Pikmin 3. So I wound up getting Pikmin 3 for free. So
good
that's what it
choice.
took
Good
to get
choice.
me into the franchise. But when I started playing it, I was just like, this game is unlike anything I'd ever played before. And I'd never played like a real time strategy game before. So I didn't have that kind of reference. I guess in like my catalog of gaming history,
Right.
but it is similar to an RTS game, but it's just so much more fast and fluid. Like, um, and really, you have to kind of plan out what you're going to do with your individual days because you have a certain time limit. Um, but things get fast, things get frantic, but you're still trying to like hunt down collectibles in the world and fight these monsters. Um, so I mean, when you hear the words RTS, like I think kind of a slow, methodical, tactical game, and Pikmin is a fast-paced, like action adventure game, but with some kind of strategy involved in it as well.
Hmm.
It's adorable. It's funny. The music's really cool. It's got all the Nintendo charm you could really ever need for a successful franchise. It hasn't hit, and I have no idea why.
I it just seems like okay. So here's my experience with Pigman so far. So I've never played a game, and I've had every single Nintendo console starting from the Super Nintendo. We had the NES, but I didn't really play much on it. I actually have an NES right now. My brother gave me one. It's just sitting in my closet.
Nice.
But never played those games. Never had the desire to. I think initially because I didn't understand what I was doing. I remember in the demo kiosks for the GameCube. Is that when the first Pikmin game came
Yeah,
out? Was that when,
GameCube.
I remember trying the demo and I was like, what am I doing? Like, what do these numbers mean on top of this cap? Like, why am I moving these guys around? Like, why are they not able to go over here? Like, there was just so much that I didn't understand at that time. So, like, from the RTS standpoint or like the management side, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was too stupid to understand this. And then I just kind of gave up on it. It's just like it is like kind of a black sheep of Nintendo's IP. It's just this weird thing that they've made four of now, and people like them. Like people are big fans of them, but also they don't. I don't feel like they make a huge splash like other things. Like I would say
Yeah,
even Arms, when even though that game was not great, I feel like that initially had more mass appeal than Peakman did because we're like people are like, I get this. I move my arms like this and they punch and I'm trying to knock the person out. Like
I
that makes
think
sense.
I think maybe we're both kind of coming to the same conclusion, and that is that Pikmin is really hard to sell in one or two sentences. It's really hard to explain what the game is, and maybe that's why it's just not a very sellable game.
Yeah.
The reason they've made so many of them is because it was made by Shigeru Miyamoto. It's one of his games. So, I mean, to me, that's what sold me on it. I didn't even need to hear what it
I
like.
trust
I'll
this
go
guy.
out
I
and
trust
buy,
this guy.
yeah, I'll go out and buy Wii Music and give it a shot
He
just to
knows what he's
see
doing.
what he's thinking whenever he made that game. But I will say, if you ever give Pikmin a shot, I think that there's everybody can find something to love about it. It's a very fun game, and I'm really excited to play Pikmin 4. And right now, I don't have it in the budget to buy games right now, but I will. It will be the next game that I buy for sure.
Yeah. It's one of those ones again where I see it and I'm like, I want to try this at least. I like the nighttime feature. It looks relatively chill, but everyone says that when the nighttime rolls around, that's when things are not chill. Daytime is fun. You're just kind of planning things out, moving things around, but then when nighttime comes, things go
Dude.
south, and it's
And
not.
when Pikmin gets hard, it gets like extremely
It's
hard.
like stressful. It's just like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nintendo's design philosophy. Um, it's not like Kirby easy ever. Like there's always a little bit of a challenge to it, but
Kirby
at
easy.
the end of the game, like things just they get bonkers. Like if you're doing all the challenge stuff, and the great thing about Pikmin is I think it's a game that's designed to be like 100%. And if you really want to get everything out of it, like with Pikmin 3, you could probably mainline that game, and when I say mainline, I mean like extensively play the quest and beat it in like under 10 hours. But then if you're really going to like get everything out of the game, you could spend hundreds of hours in it.
Yeah.
Um,
And I like
so
that. I like that.
me too. Me too.
I was double checking when you were saying that who invented Kirby to see who you might offend, and it's a mix
Masahiro
between
Sakurai.
Sakurai, but also Miyamoto had a hand in Kirby, so I don't know.
Well, I
Iwata
think,
also had a hand.
yeah, Iwata was a producer for Kirby's Dream Land, but I think Miyamoto didn't come on until Kirby's Adventure. I think, but I could be wrong about that.
It's so weird that Sakurai and made Kirby, and then he's now has like the most prolific fighting game in all Nintendo consoles. It's just like such a weird transition from
I
Kirby to
agree
this.
that it is really weird, and I used to thought it was crazy. Think it was crazy, but now I've gone back and played Kirby's Adventure and Kirby's Dream Land this year, and you can definitely see
Some
the
parallels.
bones
Yeah.
of Smash Brothers, even, and
Swords and
yeah,
boomerangs and special attacks and all that
just
kind of stuff.
playing with
Hmm.
like a million different systems in one game as
Yep.
well.
He likes that. He likes that.
Yeah,
Kirby to me was like the most amazing character in the original Smash Bros. Like that blew my mind. I was like, wait, he can like
Smash 64.
that's the first time I saw him. I was like,
Oh,
wait.
really?
I was like, he can copy their powers. I was like, this guy's
Yeah.
he's the most powerful guy in all of Nintendo, and then I realized there's more games with Kirby. But at that time I was like, this guy's the best. So
Yeah, Kirby's great, and in Smash especially.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Love Kirby. Okay, so yeah, Pikmin 4. I will, if one of us gets it, hopefully you'll be able to get a copy. But
I'll let you borrow it again, and
I
feel
won't
no
play
obligation. Maybe you won't ever
it.
play it either. So
I'll do it for you. I'll stream it. How about that? I'll stream myself
perfect.
playing Pikmin for the first time.
No, I hate being that guy that like lends somebody something and then is like, okay, they like. I hate the pressure of borrowing something from somebody and feeling like I have to play it.
Oh,
So
dude.
I never want you to feel that way. Like if you ever have to
Yeah, no
borrow
pressure
games.
at all. Like I know people just want to try something out. Like that's like the
Yeah,
beauty of lending games is like they're not committed to. That's why they didn't buy it. They just wanted to just try to see if they would like it. That's what
right,
it's all about. I'm a
for sure.
library for my friends.
That's right. Yeah,
But
same, same.
my selection is very limited. So
Hey, if you ever want to get on that NES, man, I got you.
thanks, man. Appreciate
Bro.
it. All right. Well, let's jump over to the main topic, shall we?
Let's do it.
So the Xbox Activision merger acquisition, whatever you want to call this. I don't like the Activision acquisition. That's like
That's a
that's a whole
too
tongue
much
twister.
alliteration.
There's a lot going on there. It's going through for as much as we can tell. They postponed it to October now to finalize some details or whatever, but it's happening. They
Right.
got cleared. The FTC got shut down. And it was kind of a messy trial with like a whole bunch of funny little kerfuffles and quotes in there, with
It
some
was
of the.
like grade A entertainment there for a while, just following along with it,
I don't know if you
seeing the
followed
different
like
emails.
the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, but this felt kind of like that for me, where like it was the news for like it was like the news every single day. You were seeing like all these new quotes from like the courtroom, but it was all
Yeah.
game related stuff, which was
It
fun.
felt a little less like,
A
I
little
don't know.
less skeezy and sad.
A little
Yeah.
felt less like personally invasive
Yeah, that was a
on two
little
people, but
that was a weird time.
right.
But there was some invasive stuff. Like you
There
had all
was.
these like private emails, and what made me laugh the most was the Sony documents that they didn't black out all the way, and
Oh
you could
my
still
gosh, that
see
was
the figures behind the
hilarious.
Sharpie. I was like, come on,
I mean they had to have wanted people to know like what the budgets were, because
maybe.
it was kind of like a humble brag, like we're making these games that are selling just tons of copies for 260 million, which sounds like an absurd amount of money, and it is. But when you look at some of these other AAA budgets ballooning into 500 million and stuff like that, and not making as much money,
And then a
it's
76 or 70, what is it, $76 billion acquisition. You're like, okay. In
yeah,
the grand scheme of things, that's not very much money that they're
right.
spending compared to $76 billion. One of the biggest acquisitions in like all of acquisitions.
In the history of
I
acquisitions.
just I don't okay. So anyways, a lot of things came out. I'm going to read through this little blurb here. Trial lasted 5 days. Xbox did enough to convince the judge, and they won. But what does that mean for us gamers? It all seemed to revolve around Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is contractually obligated to come to PlayStation and Nintendo consoles for 10 years. That was a big outcome.
Yep.
But what about the core gamer content? Activision owns like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. We talked about, Overwatch and Blizzard and World of Warcraft and like all those kinds of stuff. Like I just feel like none of that was in the discussion
Yeah.
like in the courtroom. So you and I are going to talk about this. So what are your initial just
Dude, well, I
thoughts on the
mean,
trial
just
or
thinking
thoughts on
about
the
like
whole
what you
situation?
just said, um, the biggest game right now is undisputedly Call of Duty. But like think back to like 2000 to 2006 and World of Warcraft was just like dominating in this like
It
historical
was
moment
massive.
where, online, I mean, I know we had EverQuest before that, and like RuneScape was
RuneScape, baby.
free and like crushing it, but I mean, nothing on World of Warcraft. That was crazy. I mean, people in high school would have like LAN parties and just play World of Warcraft around each other and
Yes.
stuff. And I was always the guy who never had a PC because my parents were still in high school. I still had like a Nintendo
Yeah.
64, I think,
Couldn't
and it was like
couldn't afford that.
2006.
And
Yeah,
also I was
so
like I was like I don't even know how to do that. Like I'm not even going to try.
also true. So I wasn't like the PC guy, but I would go to those LAN parties and like play something else off to the
Respect
side.
it. Yeah, you
But
respect
anyway,
it.
like huge games, and this is just a company that is going to turn out a ton of content, but like now it's all under Xbox. And Xbox for me is just there hasn't been an Xbox game that's come out that has appealed to me or has like basically been like a critical success in like 10 years. And I know they've got Forza, and you could check me
Forza,
on other critical.
Hi-Fi Rush was a big hit for them.
Yes, and that game looks really cool. But like I think about Rare, which is probably historically one of my favorite developers of all time, up until the GameCube
Shame.
era, and then Microsoft bought them. And what have they done with Rare ever since?
Yeah.
Yes, Sea of Thieves is a really cool concept, but I mean, up until Sea of Thieves, they spent a decade just kind of like sputtering, not getting much out.
What was the game that
Uh,
they worked on for the Xbox One that was the Connect game with the animals? Wasn't that Rare?
I think so.
Wasn't that
And
them? I
all
think
I
it
can think
was.
of, I know it's not Viva Pinata. That's all I can think of. Um,
That wasn't people liked Viva Pinata, all right,
yeah, I
but
mean, I loved. I think it's called Cameo Elements of Power.
mhm,
I thought that game was rad, but it actually was developed for the GameCube and then like jumped over
ported.
to Xbox
Yeah.
360 when they got bought. But still, that's irrelevant. The amount of quality that they were turning out when Nintendo owned them was crazy. I mean, they were coming out with like 2 games a year that were just bangers, and
Just bangers.
just bangers. So that's what I worry about is that Microsoft gets all these companies, and these companies like lose some of their talent. Microsoft doesn't really hire in the best talent to replace them. They don't have the right like management systems in place. I don't know, whatever they're doing over there, it just
Major
doesn't seem to
Nelson
be
just
working.
left. I mean,
Yeah, I heard
it's
about
over,
that.
dude. It's over. No. I'm with you, man. Like, Landry and I unfortunately are both a little bit biased in that we don't have Xboxes. So do take that with a grain of salt. But take
But I
well,
loved my Xbox. I
right. I had an
loved my
Xbox
Xbox
360.
360.
Same here.
They don't have games that I feel like appeal to the demographic of gamer that we are. Like they have they have a great online infrastructure, and I feel like if you're into sports games or Call of Duty, Xbox
Yeah.
is a great place for you to be, and you could pick up maybe a Forza or the occasional bone they'll throw to people like you and me, like Hi-Fi Rush or Sunset Overdrive.
And maybe that's the whole reason for this acquisition though. Like what you
Yeah,
just said. Like
I think
they
yeah.
realize that like, okay, if we just have so many individual developers underneath our umbrella now, there's bound to be a percentage chance that we're gonna be able to produce stuff that will appeal to everyone, which is true. What I'm thinking back to is like the Xbox Arcade, and I think that really appealed to me when I had an Xbox because that's like what got me into indie games.
Oh, dude, that
I
was
didn't even
huge.
didn't even know about some of these smaller titles like Shadow Complex and
Castle Crashers.
Castle Crashers and Limbo and stuff like that.
Can't remember if Braid was PS3 exclusive, but I feel like I played that on my Xbox.
I did
I mean,
too,
I
yeah.
loved all those games.
And that introduced me to all these indie devs, and it felt so special at that time because we hadn't really experienced anything of that quality on that scale before. You're like, oh, this is a smaller game, but this is so good. Like the way this was designed, or like the storytelling here, like this is just great. And I think with all these, with this giant acquisition, like they're bound to have something
No
that can come
question.
out of here that they can throw up. But I think what I was getting to is, even though that we don't have Xbox, I to me it just kind of sucks. Like Microsoft is a massive company, not Xbox. Microsoft is a massive company because of Microsoft Office and their cloud infrastructure and other things that they've built as a company just because they were so successful in the 80s, 90s, and up until now. So they have tons of money to throw around. They're a $1 trillion business. So 80,
Wow.
60 to 70, or let's $70 billion is not much to them. But to PlayStation and Sony, I mean, Sony's a big company. Let's not
Right.
pretend like they're tiny, but they're not on the $1 trillion business level, And so it's just kind of something about it just feels bad. It just feels
Yeah.
bad. You're like,
It almost feels like cheating.
yeah,
But I'm okay. Like me and you were talking about this as well. Like we can go out and buy an Xbox. This is not like a fanboy centric conversation. Like
right.
I just want to see um, these developers have the best opportunity to develop like good content. If it's an Xbox exclusive, like whatever. Like I
Right.
will, if there's something like Fable looks amazing and it's going to be as great of an experience as Fable 1 or Fable 2, like I'm probably going to buy an Xbox just for that game. I
Yeah.
loved that game growing up.
Yeah.
If they came out with a Halo that like hit me in the feels the way the first three did, then yeah, I'm going for it. I'm like
That's another thing. Halo has really dwindled too, man. I
yeah.
think like that's a major bummer also. So it's
And
like,
just think about like they ran off Bungie, 343 kind of like dissipated into something that hasn't done much in the past few years. So the one team that has just been cranking out like hit after hit is that Forza squad. But
that's all they do. Like that's their thing.
yeah,
They're like, yeah, we
yeah.
make really good car games, and that's
Now they're doing
great.
Fable, so we'll see
Oh
how
wait, the
that
same
goes.
team's doing Fable. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm
Well, that
almost
could be
sure.
good or bad. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a weird.
Race to your next destination
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this mystical carriage.
Well, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, from what the little trailer that they've shown, it wasn't much of anything beyond a trailer, but
Yes, I mean, like graphically, it looks
graphically,
amazing.
it looks cool. Yeah. So yeah, same as you. Like, I hope that something good comes out of it. Like, I hope we get the next incredible Spyro game. I hope that
Dude.
Overwatch grows into something beyond what it is right now, because Blizzard has kind of fumbled that, unfortunately. Like, where Overwatch 2 people were excited about, and then it kind of just like just
Yeah, that was
kind of came and went.
maybe the wrong move. Just making an Overwatch 2 and not sticking with the first one.
Not just like make it something different. It was just literally like a season upgrade where it became Overwatch 2. Overwatch 1 no longer exists. It just is gone.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah, that is wild.
Um,
You start like thinking about like what Microsoft has though. Like the one thing I wish they would really bring back is Banjo Kazooie. Like so badly, I wish they would make a new game. And if like the team that made like Crash 4 and those Spyro remakes and stuff like that could get together and maybe pump out like a Banjo game, that'd be sweet. Something like that. But all this is like you got to think about it. Like this is a huge acquisition. They're going to be putting their resources into these games that are going to make tons and tons of money. And my fear is that we're going to have like 10 AAA games every couple of years, and they're just going to miss like the stuff that I actually care about.
Yeah. And like going back to your earlier point, again, we have the ability to purchase an Xbox if we wanted to, and I would love to want to like feel the need to do that, but for whatever reason, I just don't know how I feel about gaming. It's kind of like the Amazon Prime versus Netflix versus Disney Plus kind of situation almost, when you have three different consoles that you're using to play video games at that point. It's
Right.
like they all kind of do the same thing. This one has some different content. This one has some different content. I have to subscribe every single month to be able to play some of these games. And then there's like these add-ons that cost more money. The controllers are all different, so that's kind of weird. Like, I think that's what it is for me. It's just like I'm too stubborn or lazy to want to buy another system because I'm like, I can do okay with PlayStation's controller and Nintendo's weird setup, but their Pro controller is great. But if I have to do another controller, I'm like, I'm all mixed up. And I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, that's it. For me, it's just like, dude, I can I can handle having another console in the house, but like I have Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Netflix, and I never watch Amazon Prime. And I feel like if I got an Xbox, it would just sit there and collect dust, and I would turn it on for maybe one game a year, and that's
Hmm.
about it. You know?
And even if you have access to tons of games, like that's the thing. It's like, cool, I have access to all kinds of content, but none of it speaks to me. So why am I paying for
Right.
this? It's the same thing for all the other subscription services. Like I feel bad. Like I turn on HBO Max once every like few months to watch something, and then I
Yeah.
turn it back off. I'm like, oh, I'm in the mood to watch Harry Potter, and HBO Max, or I guess just Max now has the licensing rights to that, so I'll watch that.
Yeah.
And Game Pass is the same way. Like they have so much content on there. Same thing with PlayStation Essentials or whatever it's called right now, extra
Dude,
premium.
that naming
It's
convention,
so bad.
so dumb.
It's so bad.
So dumb. I'm on
Uh,
it like every single day and I still can't get it right.
and it's great. It's cool to have all that access to that content, but in reality, it's like we're adults that have full time jobs. We're parents, and it's like, okay, realistically, I can only play video games like maybe for like a few hours a week, and so
Right.
having access to thousands of games does nothing for me. Like
Oh yeah.
I don't need
I'm
more
off it.
choice. Actually, I need the least amount of choice so that I actually don't get overwhelmed with how much I have access to.
The only thing I will use PlayStation Extra for now is like the premium tier where you can get the classic games like Twisted
Hmm.
Metal. I went through and played like Jack, the trilogy last year.
Yeah.
Like I love that because I don't have access to it otherwise. But like I went out and bought Final Fantasy VII. I started playing on a PlayStation Extra, and then I canceled my subscription. I was like, I'll just buy this because
It's cheap now.
it's gonna take me like 10 months to beat it the way I play video games. So I'll just buy it and cancel the subscription. So
I respect that. I respect that. Yeah, I mean, I've downloaded titles to my PlayStation home bar, like Kena. I put that on my home bar, and I want to play it. But then I also just bought Final Fantasy 16 because I'm like,
oh
I played the demo, and I was like, this is a cool demo. I was
yep.
like, I want to try the whole thing, and so yeah, now I have that. I have Tears of the Kingdom that I haven't finished yet, so
Have
it's
you been a
just
Final Fantasy guy throughout your life?
I've watched my brother play a lot of them. I've always liked the setting and some of the storytelling elements, and I played about half of Final Fantasy VII Remake and liked what I played, but felt that the combat system just didn't quite gel with me. Like I liked what it was doing with the turn-based situation, but it was also action-based where you could
Yeah, the
kind
combat
of
system's a little.
I was like,
I
what am I
can't
supposed
decide
to
if
be
I like
doing
it or just don't
here?
like it. Yeah,
Whereas
it's
this one, it's very clear. You're slashing up people in
yeah.
16. So I'm like, okay,
That's a better route.
it's
Final
clear
Fantasy
as
VII feels confused,
hmm
or like, I mean, I see what they were trying to do. I don't think it's
uh,
terrible. It's just
trying to
like
please
nothing ever
both
feels
sides of
great.
gamers.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't know. I really do hope for the best. I do hope that this merger works out well and Xbox cranks out some awesome games because yeah, I think in terms of content and market share, Xbox isn't doing well. Um,
yeah.
so I would love
But
for them to be competitive.
they were very willing to lick their wounds in public at the trial. It's
Yeah.
making me like that kind of thing makes me a little sick because like they also are like their earnings report before is like saying they're doing better than they ever were during the 360 era. So
Right.
like
It's
yeah,
like, are
you
you
might be
doing
losing, but
bad?
like the industry's doing great. Like
Yeah.
you're fine.
It's like you're making money still, just not maybe not as much as you'd want to. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I am curious to get somebody else on who is an Xbox gamer to see what they feel about it. But I feel like just on the general Twitter sphere, I've seen the kind of the same kind of response. People are like, I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope that it works. But
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, I'll be pretty disappointed and
Well,
probably.
it seems like there's just like no reward and all risk because Activision was already doing their thing and they were doing it great. So
Mhm.
now we just have to hope that Xbox can keep that same stuff going. So
Yep. We shall see. All right, y'all. Well, unfortunately, that is the end of our podcast. Listeners, what do you think of the Xbox Activision merger? Let us know by writing into bitcast@bitbloggist.com, just like Bill Boom 90 did. Almost every AAA game I've played lately is 10 to 20 hours too long. I don't think people equate length to value anymore. Am I wrong about that? So he's asking every game he's played is 10 20 hours too long.
I feel the exact same way, man. Like AAA games, like I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy right now, and that game it may even be my game of the year, man. I know I love Tears of the Kingdom; it's amazing.
That castle
Um,
is so impressive, dude.
the castle is so impressive; it's absolutely bonkers. And as a like lifelong Harry Potter fan, like I read the first book when I was in fourth grade, and the last movie came out when I was like 23. So it's like been with me my whole life.
Grew up with
Um,
it, yeah.
yeah, just getting to explore that world is amazing. And then not only that, but like every mechanic in the game forces you to think kind of like how a wizard would. And just the fantasy immersion is absolutely pitch perfect.
Hmm.
Um, it's technically impressive on a macro scale, but like on a micro scale, there's a lot of little hiccups and stuff. Frame drops, clip ins, that kind of stuff. A lot of audio glitches, like way more than any AAA game should. But anyway, the game is probably like I would say 30 hours too long. Like it's incredible,
Yeah.
but I just want it to be shorter.
Hmm.
And I may be in the minority as well, but I want to pay $70 for a concise AAA experience. I don't want to pay $70 for a bloated, awesome game for 30 hours that has a lot of like, chaff uh,
Yeah.
just thrown in the middle. That
Yeah.
is just like the same side quest 15 times in a row that goes into the same cave that doesn't have any kind of different look from any of the other ones. Like that's just
Yeah.
boring, man.
Go collect these notes around these flying pages around the castle. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I will.
Wait, are there really 250 of these? Yeah, like come on, man.
That is too many. Yeah, I mean, to his question or her question, I also agree. I don't think people equate length to value anymore. I think people are recognizing what is a quality game experience, and it's going to be subjective or yeah, subjective to each individual. Like what kind of gamer you are is going to give you the value of the game that you're wanting to pay. So for me, if it's a game that feels like it's well produced and it's around a 30-hour length, 20-hour length, like yeah, I'll pay $70 for that. If it's a 10-hour game, it'd have to be doing something really impressive to make me want to pay $70. Um, but even then, I mean, like if it's really, really good and the story's exceptional and you can tell they put a lot into it, like sure, why not?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, you can always pick it up when it goes on sale for $40 in
yeah,
2 months because that's the way every game does. So
just wait. Just
yeah,
wait. Just see what happens. A lot of games I feel like go on sale real fast.
I saw Tears of the Kingdom for $50 the other day, and I was like, dang, that's like only a couple months. And I know it was like a one-time sale, like flash sale, but
I think I technically got it for $50 because I did that $100 gift
oh, I
voucher.
did too. I did too.
So I got that for 50, and I haven't bought my second game yet. Pikmin 4, I think, is on there, so maybe I
Hey,
could use that to
there you
get my
go. I got Splatoon 3. I'm a big Splatoon guy, so it's been
respect.
fun.
Respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for writing in. Hopefully you can find some games that equate to the value that you want. But to each their own. Well, Landry, thank you so much for bringing us back onto the podcast, on the
Dude, I'm glad
BitCast.
we're here. Glad we're getting to talk some video games.
Yeah, man. Anything you want to plug or mention?
No, man. Twitter is where I'm at, or what is it going to be? X by the end of
X.
the night.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so bad.
I mean, I don't know. I may make an Instagram or something. I'm on Instagram, but I haven't posted anything there yet.
I haven't posted on Instagram in a while.
So I don't know. that, keep an eye out for a YouTube channel coming eventually, and that's
Sweet.
all I got.
Yeah, for me, I don't have much going on outside of the stuck with retrospect, and I'll be trying to do some streams. So yeah, just check me out on the old X.com at BitBloggist, or you can find me on Threads at, I think it's make_Jarden. I don't even know. Dude, social media is just a mess right now. It's just
Yeah, man. Hey, maybe that's for the best. Maybe it'll all just disappear.
explode, just implode, and we have no way of sharing content with anybody anymore. You just got to find it yourself. Maybe that's what it should be.
Hey, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Well, until next time, y'all, this has been BitCast. Thanks for tuning in to talk about some stuff.